This is brutal. Oh my goodness. So I came across this 60-minute video and I thought it was pretty interesting. And it was talking about how Kenyans are being exploited by, big tech companies at, the benefit of AI. So one of the issues that I had starting off with the video was that this woman, I don't know who she is, but she was talking about how AI was going to take jobs and destroy jobs. And
the familiar narrative is that artificial intelligence will take away human jobs. Machine learning will let cars, computers, and chatbots teach themselves, making us humans obsolete.
Damn. Nevertheless, she says that that's not true, that it's a misconception because there will always be people who need to label for AI, to let AI know that, hey, this is a sheep, this is a dog, this is a cat, yada, yada, yada. And as technology advances, those jobs will always be present.
Well, that's not very likely, and we're going to tell you why. Humans in the loop will always be needed because there will always be new devices and inventions that'll need labeling.
The issue I have with this is that, first off, what they were paying these people was $2.
So what's the average pay for these jobs?
It's about $1.50, $2 an hour.
$2 per hour, and that is gross before tax.
What? But you have to understand, you're not paying anyone here in this country $2. I think the lowest minimum wage is nowhere near $2. I think it's like $6. I think it's in Wyoming or something. So the concept of saying, well, we'll always have people, to work. Yeah, you may have always had people, but it won't be here in the States. It'll definitely be overseas at that rate. But let's say, for example, we cut off outsourcing, right? We no longer, ship these jobs overseas. We keep them here, and they have to pay a minimum wage or whatever the company deems, including health benefits, dental, yada, yada, depending on your work hours and what they have set up. What you also have to take into account that it's not going to be at the same magnitude. You're not going to hire a whole bunch of people at the same rate as you would if these jobs weren't being taken by AI, if that makes sense. For example, if you have a whole bunch of AI robots, let's say the Tesla bot, God forbid, but let's say the Tesla bot, or say we have AI, police bots, which they already have. But let's say that comes to mass, and we have these bots doing all these hard jobs, these dangerous jobs, these manual labor jobs. And what you have to do is just train the AI, hey, notify it's a dog, that's a cat, this is that, this is that. I don't know any company that's going to pay you an exorbitant amount of money to do that. I don't see it to the point where you're going to need as many people as you once did. I think there's going to be diminishing returns when it comes to that point. Having said that, going into the story, you have these Kenyans who are sitting there for 8 hours a day. And it was really crazy because they were talking about how they were traumatized, right? They had to go and see therapy. And I'm thinking, what do you have to go and see therapy for clicking and telling the AI that's a sheep and that's a lamppost, right? but it seems that you had one of these guys who was in charge of looking at adult content and some really heinous illegal activities, and training the AI of, hey, that's what's going on. This person is messing around with an animal. Hey, this person is messing around with a minor. That.
Naftali was assigned to train AI to recognize and weed out pornography, hate speech, and excessive violence, which meant sifting through the worst of the worst content online for hours on end.
That's the type of content that he was filtering through, training the AI for 8 hours. That's crazy, bro. That's absolutely crazy. And it honestly reminds me of what was going on here in LA. Yeah, when it came to NetherRealm Studios, a gaming studio that creates a Mortal Kombat. And they were talking about how some of the animators, especially on MK11, had like PTSD because they had to look up reference of all the brutalities and the fatalities, to do the graphics, the visual effects, to animate it. And they were having PTSD from looking at that traumatizing content. But the part that I found to be most interesting, it seemed that 60 Minutes was trying to blame these, big tech companies here in the States. That, hey, it was Meta that was exploiting them, or is, Soma, AI, ChatGPT, and all these AI companies that were exploiting them. But that wasn't the case. Because if you look at the contract, and they show the contract was for $12, $12 an hour. Now, mind you, in some of these states, especially here in the country, that's more than their minimum wage. And that's way more than the minimum wage in Kenya. I believe in Kenya is like, the exchange rate is like $2 or something like that. I think they make it like $108 a month or something. So it's like $3 to $2, okay? So $12 an hour, I mean, that's a really good paying job in Kenya. But what has happened is that the company that like Meta was outsourcing to hire these people, they were gypping them, bruh. They were paying them $2.
Naftali, Nathan, and Fasika were hired by an American outsourcing company called Sama. In documents we obtained, OpenAI agreed to pay Sama $12.50 an hour per worker, much more than the $2 the workers actually got.
And then there was a point in time where the lady asked, hey, what happens if you got the job, 6 months of work, you got it done in 3 months, or you got it done in 2 months? Do they pay you out the full 6 months? And they were like, no, they would give me KFC and a Coke.
What if you finished in 3 months? Does the worker get paid for those extra 3 months?
No.
KFC.
What?
We used to get KFC and Coca-Cola.
They used to say, thank you. They get you a
KFC.
bottle of soda and KFC chicken, 2 pieces. And that is it.
But you can't do this to me. You know how much I sacrificed?
I don't mean to laugh. I don't mean to laugh, as I laugh. But that's cold-blooded, okay? I'm not gonna lie. That's cold-blooded. So not only are you paying them less what they were supposed to be paid, but in addition to that, if they do the work, because apparently it was like they were talking about how they were walking on eggshells.
Did you see people who were fired just because they complained?
Yes, we were walking on eggshells.
Imagine crunch time as soon as you clock in. In the gaming industry, you have a moment in time where it's crunch time upon, sitting the game out. Imagine you sign in crunch time. Go, 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 go. That's kind of brutal, bruh. So they were screwing them over when it comes to pay, and then screwing them over when it came to reward them for them doing, exemplary work. I think that's disgusting. So they were talking about how, hey, our labor laws are like, way behind, especially, our digital labor laws.
Our labor law is about 20 years old. It doesn't touch on digital labor.
I don't know how you feel about that, but it's kind of reminiscent of what's going on here in the country right now, where it comes to, people talking about illegal immigration, and we got to get them out of here. And you have to understand, it's going to come at a cost. And I would love for me to be wrong. Trust me, I would love for me to be wrong. But I don't believe that the capitalist society that we have right now, especially with the deregulations that I believe Trump is definitely going to do, that he was doing in his last administration, I don't think that's going to be favorable to the working class.
Because what happens is when we start to push back in terms of protections of workers, a lot of these companies, they shut down and they move to a neighboring country.
I don't think that's going to be favorable to the middle class, right? The people who aren't, poor, but they're also not wealthy. They're right in the middle, okay? Sometimes you may be a paycheck off from, being poor. So I don't see how that's going to benefit us, because this country is set up to make a profit. It's not about helping your fellow man. That's a notion of the past, okay? That's a completely antiquated notion. What it is set up on now is just making more. You make this amount of money. You make $1 million, make $2 million. Make $2 million, make $4 million. Make $4 million, double it, triple it. Make as much as you possibly, humanly can. And if it's illegal, then, you pay someone off to make sure you don't get caught. That's very much seems to be the culture that has been established in this country. And if that's the culture that's established in this country, when you try to correct it, there's going to be some pushback. I'm very interested to see how this works. I definitely believe there's going to be a meeting of the minds, and there's going to be some negotiations where it's like, maybe we don't give them a pathway to citizenship, but as Rand Paul says, we give them work visas or something. We allow to use their labor. That's what it is. They were talking about how it's slavery to an extent, because when it comes to slave wages.
Honestly, it's like modern day slavery because it's cheap labor. It's cheap labor.
And it's like, yeah, but that's not really much different from here in the country. Not very much different from here in the country. So I don't see anyone who's addressing that. That's the problem. I don't see anyone who is focusing on that. And Trump sure as hell is not going to focus on that. So I don't know where this leads for us in the future. It's horrible to see what they're doing in Kenya. This company, just bamboozling their people, and they're in such dire need of work that they're like, hey, I'll take $2 even though I was supposed to be paid $12. At least it's something. At least it's something that I can have to put, a food on the table.
Why did you take the job?
I have a family to feed, and instead of staying home, let me just at least have something to do.
And the company is like, hey, that's more than what you would usually get, so, you should be happy. Honestly, that's eerily reminiscent of what's going on here in the country. That's the crazy part, okay? You hear about, it's like, wait, that's really going on here. Like, I hope things change, but that's hope. Anyways, guys, that's the video. Let me know what you guys think. Whether or not you believe Lucas, they're fine, okay? They're not American, they're Kenyan. I don't care about them. Let's use them for the cheap labor and be done with it. Simple as that. Or if you don't believe, I hear you, but that's also happening here. That's also happening here. So it comes to a point, as I've argued before, it's like, okay, if we're going this route, then there has to be some form of universal basic income. There just has to be, if this is the route that we're going. Because you can't be, yeeting people out of the workforce, automating their jobs, outsourcing, and then be like, well, tough luck. That's not going to work, right? It's just, I don't see that as a viable means. Nevertheless, if you happen to disagree, you know where to find me, Friday to Sunday. You can call in, we'll duke it out. Otherwise, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please feel free to like, share, comment. Let me know what you guys think about, what's going on in Kenya, even what's going on here in the States and what this means, especially with the upcoming threat of AI, as I've warned people countless times. And make sure to subscribe and all that fun stuff. Till next time, guys, be amazing.
Why did you take the job?